here we go. Normally I would stew some tomatoes, but I don't have any fresh ones. And normally I would use fresh garlic, but I also do not have that. And the only green peppers I have are these little kind of frozen ones. So I'm not really going to do much to these guys. I did wash the mushrooms off because they were old. And there was a molding green bean on that one. Just get it in there. And instead of opening my fresh can of diced tomatoes, I have some that I'm defrosting. But one can is all you need. And then I would actually put in an entire green pepper. But I really, really, really dig the green pepper taste. You may not. If you take a fresh green pepper and you de-seed it, stem it, slice it up, it will freeze very well in the freezer. If you keep it whole, it doesn't do as well. I don't know why not. These are my favorite meatballs that I've found. They do have fennel in them, so if you don't like fennel, be careful. Whole Foods has a non-fennel pearl onions. Has a non-fennel meatball. It's the only one, so that I've been able to find. And those are really good for like a Swedish meatballs. Something that you can't have fennel in. So even if you have the stewed tomatoes, or you're just using tomato sauce or tomato paste, grind these up first and just grind them up to however chunky you want yours. I like my sauce super smooth. Italian seasoning. Garlic. Like I said, normally I would have used fresh, but oh, you know what? Ah! Stuff keeps forever too. And it's just packed in water. I like a lot of garlic. I think most people would stop. But like I said, I like mine pretty smooth. Now here's some so like I said, this would normally be stewed tomatoes. Now if you're just using tomatoes or even just diced tomatoes or tomato sauce, everything but tomato soup, using anything with tomatoes aside from tomato soup, you will also need to add sugar, and it's to balance the acidity. Now I'm using stuff I've already added sugar to, so I'm not going to. But I certainly did. background. I like the meatballs browned a little. So I've got them in a pan with some oil, and I am indeed browning them. And I think that they're a little too big, which sounds silly because they don't look big at all, but they're a little too big. See how talented I am. Have a spaghetti sauce that you really, or marinara that you really like the flavor of. Like, I really like tomato basil. In fact, I'll add some. You can add a can to add to the flavor. A little hickory salt, which I know sounds weird, but is actually really good. And a hit of smoked paprika, just a little tiny bit. Sometimes I add chives. I'm not going to today. Say to just throw them in. And that works. I'm not saying it doesn't, to just throw them into the sauce. But like I said, I like to brown them up, and I cut them in half, or quarters even, on some of them, and I really brown them up. Otherwise, if you make too much sauce, because I'm always making for 1 1/3 of a person because of BB. So if you make too much sauce and then you have leftover meatballs in the sauce, the next time you go to reheat the sauce, the meatballs are spongy or bready, like bread. Hard bread that's been soaked in tomato sauce and reheated, and it's not a pleasant feeling in your mouth. So, because I always have leftovers, I like to make them nice and brown and crisp. Then they stand their ground in leftover sauce. I like my sauce even smoother than this. It does help if you cook it and you can taste it now to get kind of a general idea, but if you put raw garlic in there, you may be disappointed at your first taste. You absolutely have to cook it and then taste it. And you can always add everything else. You can add more onion, Italian seasoning, garlic, sugar if you need to, if it's too acidic. Garlic if it's just not garlicky enough. You do have to remember that onion will add to the to pour this into my pan that I've been making the meatballs in. It's got a bunch of oil in it. I'm almost embarrassed to show you how much oil it has in it, because when I say I pan fried meatballs. Oh, people are going to be disgusted. I mean, I'll pour some of that out. Can you even tell how much there is? I'll pour some of it out. That's a little too much even for me. Can you tell I live in an apartment with limited counter space? Ow! Ooh, it's hot. My pan isn't great. It's almost brand new. It's obviously not like I bought it yesterday, but really irritated because I've used nothing but my, you know, plastic stuff on it, and it still has scratches at the bottom. And I know you're supposed to get rid of it once that happens, but I haven't done that yet. Woo. All right, that's plenty. If I were cooking for my mom, I would not use any oil, actually. Now I'm putting some of the spices in here, and I'm gonna put it back on the can you see that? Just for a minute. I think in Indian, they temper a lot. So they kind of cook the vegetables, or I'm sorry, not the vegetables, the spices. So if you're watching your weight or your heart, don't add the oil. If you want to die an early death, a really horrible heart attack or stroke, and you really want to enjoy your food, add the oil. And that's it. I'm just gonna saute this for a little bit longer. I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Give it a taste and adjust flavorings, seasonings. I might throw it in the blender again and get rid of some of the chunks. Certainly the chunks if you like it smooth, like I do. Once they've been cooked, they blend easier. If you're looking for a really red sauce like you get like with Prego or something, oh man. More tomatoes, more sugar. Like I said, you can add a jar if you really love the flavor of one of them to this, and you can still feel better that you made your own sauce. You know what's in it for the most part. And you have a lot more. If you want it thinner, you can add water. Thicker, let it cook off some. I might make a meatball sandwich. maybe spaghetti. It's badass.